Hi, I'm Matt Dove, the senior sales engineer covering Rubrik in the Maryland territory. One of the things that we talk about consistently is automation, and kind of ruthless automation, the ability to do everything through automation tools and scripting that you would do inside of our UI. So I thought today I'd go through some of the options and just show you a quick example in the real world scenario of something that might help your team, and then hopefully spur conversation to move on to other topics. So first thing I want to show you is we are 100% API first, right? Our HTML5 browser consumes our own API. You can see here that I'm connected directly into one of our brick clusters. If I go to a repository, we're also hosting on that same brick cluster here documentation for all of our APIs, right? So you can go through and look at the different change histories and the features that you're able to gain from that. Additionally, we also have an API Explorer. So again, hosted directly on the brick, our appliance that you're connecting to. We have the ability to show you all the different things that you can do within the environment. So I'll just show you a quick thing really quick that you can go ahead and look at. Just go look at some ID of a disk on a cluster, right? We are a physical appliance. This can be BYO hardware for you, or it can be an appliance that we ship you. But it's going to give you kind of a look at what your example values of putting into the string would look like. And then if we go out and hit try it out, what it's going to do is going to give you the curl command that we would use if you wanted to use that, and also give you representation of what the actual response body should look like coming back from it, right? So it's a way for you to look at and try out all the different APIs to be able to utilize them in a tool set that you have, right? So now I focus on Python because I kind of just gravitate toward that. But so we have different SDK kits sitting here. Quick start for PowerShell SDK, and again, it gives you all the different information, very easy read of how to integrate this within, again, PowerShell. If you're new to PowerShell, it tells you how to go ahead and import the module and how to download the module and all the other components. If you are not so new, right? There's example code sitting out there for PowerShell, Python, Go, etc. And then additionally, because we want to, again, make this easy, you don't have to keep recreating the wheel. If you have tooling integrations, whether it's Ansible, Terraform, whatever it might be, we have a lot of kind of a GitHub repository that has different snippets of code that you can then customize for your internal environment. Again, stop you from kind of recreating the wheel on all the different scenarios. So now what I want to do is walk through a use case that I think is pretty typical, right? So your operations team or your backup team, they kind of configure everything to work the way they want it to work. The policies are defined, so we're going to go ahead and protect the data and archive it out and do all those things that we need to do to maintain business continuity for your lines of business. But sysadmins and application owners sometimes want something done a little bit differently, right? And so a scenario that we're going to talk about here is I'm a DBA, and I have control of a couple servers, and I'm going to do a maintenance window on a weekend, right? I know you've done a backup on the operations team at 11 o'clock last night, but it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and I want to go ahead and make sure I have the most recent backup. So that if something doesn't go well, I can easily roll back to the most recent backup of my data. So what I'm going to do, first, the operations team needs to allow me access, and right, this is role-based access. It's very defined control mechanisms. So I can go through and isolate an individual user and then give them very specific rights to a very small environment. So with any user, you can go ahead and take them, manage their authorization, and then lock down to only the things that you want them to have access to, like a couple Windows hosts or a couple database servers or whatever it might be. They can't touch anything else. The next thing I'm going to do from an operations standpoint is I'm going to define this kind of on-demand snapshot SLA for them, right? So I'm going to go through the process of creating, I don't want these on-demand snapshots. If you're just going about, taking a one-time snapshot so that you can roll back, I don't want to keep that data for weeks or months or extended it and archive it out to public cloud. I want to sit there and take it and keep it for a couple of days. And after a couple of days, if nothing happens, purge that data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a policy that is only going to keep the data for 3 days. I'm not going to replicate it anywhere or archive it anywhere. So now, from an operations standpoint, I can hand that kind of information to my application team, and they don't need to interface with us. What they're going to then simply do is they're going to generate like a CSV file in this case, put a couple servers into it for me. These are ones that I own, my server list. And then I'm going to simply call my script of choice. For me, again, it's PowerShell, but Python, anything else. And it's a very short little script. It's 8 lines, right? I'm going to import the module. I'm going to tell it where my Rubrik cluster is. I'm going to ask for the credentials so I can authenticate in and get access to the devices that I need. I'm going to connect to that box. I'm going to use the mdev run once SLA protection policy that you just assigned, that you just said I can use. I'm going to go ahead and import that CSV file that has the server list in it that I need. And then for each one of those servers in that list, I'm going to go ahead and do a new Rubrik snapshot for that SLA. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Run with PowerShell. And then I'm going to show you a couple things over in the UI. @dev, apply my credentials. And so now it's going to start the process of running a backup. In this window, I'm going to go to I'm going to search for one of the boxes that I'm doing a backup for, this mdev w1. And what's going to show me is all the different backup history for this device. If I go look here, I have a scheduled backup every 4 hours, and it says scheduled snapshot. This is an on-demand backup that I did earlier today, mdev run once. So you can see here that little dot means it's not a scheduled device. You can also see here that the snapshot was replicated on the scheduled backup because that's what the policy dictates. But on this run once, I'm not replicating it. I'm not copying it. I'm not extended retention rules. It's just a one-time backup I'm going to keep for 3 days. You can see here now that you can see the activity has been kicked off for this VM, and it's now created the vserv snapshot, and it's going about the process of then copying the data over onto our disk set. Same thing happens for my matdev Linux box. If I go to the Linux box and I check out the application and the activity level, it will again show me, in this particular case, that if I go to the date again, that was a scheduled backup that had earlier today. This was a on-demand snapshot that I ran earlier today, and now it's fetching the data. I've done another on-demand backup that I'm running right now. All right, so one of the things that we can do is, in the event of a scenario happens where you need to actually roll back data, you need to recover a file specifically. So I'm going to go to the snapshot history. This is that on-demand backup that I took earlier today. I'm going to go ahead and hit recover files. And the beauty of this is I don't have to actually restore the whole VM if I don't want to. I can search for just the host file, grab it, and then next, and then download it or overwrite or whatever I need to do from an operation standpoint. But this can all be done from API call from your team. You can see down here that it's completed the on-demand backup and successfully captured that now. So it's a very quick and easy look at a simple process in a day-to-day operation where from a server list, I can create a very simple PowerShell command that then runs out and does some tasks. I might have 10 or 15 boxes. I don't have to actually log into the UI and go right-click on-demand snapshot. I just run a script and supply it with what I need. I can actually automate these procedures. And again, this can be done outside of the normal operations team, right? It's just based on a role-based access and a PowerShell command. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of some of the things we can start to do with this process and automate it within your team. I hope to look forward to have a conversation with you and maybe talk more in depth about some of the things that we can help your team with. Thank you for your time.